Hey everyone, Loaded Buggy here, back with another Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 commentary for you. And this is another installment in the Buggy's Inbox series. This is a series that I kind of silently started in the past. I've done a few videos like this before where I answer viewer questions. And it's a kind of a format that I have borrowed from the Machinima Respawn days, and in turn also from the Weekly Slap, who borrowed it from the Machinima Respawn days as well. And it was just a show that Hutch Nanners and Mr. Stark used to do way back when, called Machinima Inbox, Respawn Inbox, where they would just answer viewer questions. Silly. Typically they were silly questions, but in my instance they're going to be a little bit on the more serious side because that definitely fits the nature of my channel. And I wanted to make sure I answer as many questions as I possibly can, just giving my insight, my 2 cents, or just advice that I have for you guys regarding those questions. So I've got a couple questions today. I'll start with the first one, and that comes from my buddy Mining Adventure, and he asked us in a live stream a couple weeks back, but I wanted to make sure I actually got to this question. And he simply says, "Hey man, got any advice for staying consistent with your goals?" And I sure do have advice, because I have had many different kinds of goals in my life, big and small. And you're kind of in the midst of a goal of mine right now by watching this video. One of my biggest dreams and goals in life was to create a YouTube channel and have it be a reasonable success. You know, I wasn't looking for 15 million subscribers or nothing, but just a nice cozy viewer base where people actually wanted to watch my videos and enjoy them for what they are. And I've reached that goal. And it took a lot of persistence, but I reached that goal. And that's kind of tip number one for you. You have to be persistent and you have to be consistent. Goals are something that you can really only hold yourself accountable for. You're setting the goals. Is it a small goal? Is it a big goal? It doesn't really matter. But you're the one who's in charge, and you're the one who has to kind of get yourself there. So my first tip to you is to be consistent. If your goal is to lose 10 pounds in 6 months, then you're the one that's got to change your diet up. You're the one that's got to work out or just do some cardio exercise, whatever it is. But you're in charge of executing that. And sometimes goals require a little bit of luck too, and that's where the persistence comes in. You got to be persistent in achieving your dreams and achieving your goals. Without persistence, you won't get there. If you give up too early, then you're not going to be able to see the resolution that you're really hoping for. Goals have to be consistent. And I'll elaborate a little bit more when it comes to big goals, because we all have big goals. We all want to be millionaires. We all want to do this. We want to do that. And something that's worked for me is taking your overall large goal, or something that seems overwhelming, a goal that seems overwhelming, and breaking it down into milestones. So for me, it was creating my YouTube channel. Boom. Step 1 done. Step 2 was to reach 100 subscribers. Boom. Did that. Step 3 was to reach 1,000 subscribers. Boom. Did that. Step 4, have a video reach 10,000 views. Did that. And I had these milestones set for myself silently of things that I wanted to accomplish on my way to quote-unquote finding YouTube success, if you will. And by creating smaller, more achievable goals with for my overall large goal, it made it seem less daunting to me and a lot more achievable. So that's something I'd recommend you do. If you have a really large goal or something that doesn't really seem like it's achievable in the short term, give yourself smaller goals and smaller milestones that you can celebrate in the short term that will keep you motivated to achieving the long-term goal. So hopefully that answers your question, because those are some things that's kind of helped me in the past to achieve a lot of the goals that I have been wanting to achieve, whether that be YouTube success, quote-unquote. I always say quote-unquote because success is something that is determined intrinsically. It's something that you determine. What do you see as a success? Do you see a success as getting to 10th prestige on Modern Warfare 2? Then that's a success to you if you've done it. Or it could be something major. You determine what is a success to you and what's not a success to you. But it's something that you have to hold yourself accountable for. So again, hopefully I've answered your question, and hopefully you got some insight from that question. Next question that I was asked, also on I think it might have been the same live stream, but it comes from Who Asked. And who asked? I don't know, but he asked me. And the question is, how do you balance keeping low expectations while thinking positively and not making self-fulfilling prophecies? And this is something that I touched on a little bit in the live stream itself, but I didn't want to go too deep on it because I wanted to actually think and stew on this question a bit more before I answered it. Because I think it's it's kind of a double-bladed sword, if you will, and I want to make sure that I answered it with care. So how do you balance keeping low expectations while thinking positively and not making self-fulfilling prophecies? And again, I think this is something that you have to rewire your brain to be able to accomplish. Putting your expectations lower is something that you have to practice. Everything that is within the mind that is a muscle. The mind itself is a muscle. It's something that you have to constantly be exercising to get to the result that you want. So if the result that you want is to lower your expectations for things, then that's something that you're going to have to work towards. It's not something that you can just do immediately. And it's not just something that happens overnight. It's something that you have to practice yourself. You have to continually remind yourself that, hey, I'm holding my expectations too high. I need to lower them. And that's something that you have to do internally. And when it comes to avoiding self-fulfilling prophecies, again, that kind of just goes hand in hand with lowering your expectations. If your expectations are lower overall, I find that positivity just kind of follows suit naturally. And whenever you have a intrinsic or internal self-fulfilling prophecy that you're kind of placing on yourself, you're setting yourself up for failure in a bit. And it's something that, again, I feel like you have to be practicing proactively. If you're not practicing the act of lowering your expectations, then you're more likely to create these own prophecies in your head of how things are supposed to play out. And again, it's just something that you have to be constantly practicing yourself. Like I said, the brain is a muscle. The brain is something that you have to be exercising to get it to work in a way that you want. I mean, that's what therapy is all about, right? And that's what people go to therapy for, is for brain repair. It's for emotional and mental repair, because it's a muscle. It's something that can be fixed if you train it to be fixed, you know? So don't be too hard on yourself. Don't beat yourself up for kind of having expectations for yourself that seem a little bit too harsh, because again, the brain is something that you have to be constantly training to think the way that you want it to think. It's not something that's just going to happen overnight, and you have to give yourself a little bit of grace, more grace than you would expect. I mean, I know we've all kind of been there in the past where we're a little bit harsh on ourselves, more than we should be. And I think that's okay to a degree. We should hold ourselves accountable. But at the same time, grace is something that it should also be practiced proactively. It's something that you should be allowing yourself to give yourself to avoid those negative self-fulfilling prophecies. I don't think prophecies or goals, or however you want to frame it in your own mind, are necessarily a bad thing, but it's all about how you position them. So just be reminding yourself that you are a human being. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to think in negative ways or problematic ways, if you will, however you want to frame it. But at the end of the day, you are human, and you need to give yourself a little bit of grace to heal and to change your way of thinking, because you can't expect yourself to change every negative thing about yourself overnight. You've had a whole lifetime of warping your brain negatively, but now you've got time. Now that you're conscious and aware of it, now you've got to make the time to fix the things that are negative, or fix the things that are quote unquote wrong with you. But you got to give yourself grace in turn to execute those repairs, because again, they don't happen overnight. So hopefully that answered your question. That's kind of a difficult one to answer, because it's something that is such an internal thing, and it's just something that you have to practice every single day to reach the goal that you want when it comes to lowering your expectations for yourself in general. So again, hopefully that answered your question, or it was at least of some insight or value to you. And if you guys enjoyed this video and want to see more from me, please leave a comment down below of what you would like for me to talk about. If you have any questions that you'd like for me to answer in the next episode of Buggy's Inbox, leave those down below. If you enjoyed this video in specific, click the like button. And if you have not yet subscribed, click the subscribe button to see more videos from me in the future. Bye now.